Welcome to Shoutin, Australia. Are you a student planning to embark on a whirlwind adventure to the magical city of Melbourne? With its diverse culture and unique lifestyle, Melbourne continues to be one of Australia's most sought-after study destinations for students all over the world. Home to 6 of the world's highest-ranked universities, along with plenty of globally renowned academics and researchers, it comes as no surprise that students are flocking to Melbourne for not just undergraduate and postgraduate degrees, but also short courses in Australia. Guidance for student living and working in Melbourne. However, as the saying goes, every rose has its thorns, and one of the downsides of moving to Melbourne has got to be its ranking as the second most expensive city in the world. Thankfully, if you are an international student looking to supplement your education with some side income, the good news is that you're well within your rights to work under your student visa, and there are many jobs out there for you to choose from. In a bid to help make your adventure to Melbourne as exciting and stress-free as possible, we've put together a guide to living and working in Melbourne for international students. Best Melbourne cities that are incredibly popular with international students. Once you've acquired your student visa and a confirmation of enrollment request, from your chosen university, one of the most important things to consider is where you are going to live in Melbourne. Many students choose to live as close to school as possible for easy traveling, but there are also a certain few suburbs that are incredibly popular with international students. Here are 5 of the best suburbs to live in for students in Melbourne. Number 1. Carlton. Carlton has long been one of the top destinations for student accommodation, due to its proximity to a number of different prestigious universities including the University of Melbourne, RMIT, Victoria University and more. Number 2. South Yarra. South Yarra is one of the best locations to live in for students who enjoy letting loose on the weekend. A thriving shopping, cafe and nightlife culture make it incredibly popular. Number 3. St. Kilda, close to the beach and with no shortage of restaurants, cafes, live music, cinemas, festivals and more, St. Kilda is one of the most colorful suburbs in Melbourne. Number 4. Brunswick, often referred to as Melbourne's hipster capital, Brunswick is a hub for young art creators and artists alike. Number 5. Southbank. Southbank is no stranger to international students, thanks to its plethora of skyscraper apartment buildings. Located a stone's throw away from the city. Student accommodation options in Melbourne. Short-term accommodation. When it comes to choosing the ideal type of student accommodation, there are a number of options available. Unless you manage to secure accommodation before touching down in Melbourne, we always recommend booking short-term accommodation before you arrive in Australia, and look for longer-term options when you arrive. University lodging. Generally, most universities in Melbourne offer housing officers or residential services to help you assess all of your on-campus accommodation options. It is highly recommended that you contact them before you leave for Melbourne. Renting an apartment. If you would rather rent your own apartment in Melbourne, you have the opportunity of choosing from a wide number of accommodation options available all over the city. Depending on your financial situation and needs, you can choose to live in a shared house or simply rent a property of your transportation in Melbourne. When it comes to transportation and traveling, you're in luck. Melbourne happens to be one of the best connected cities in Australia. With its extensive tram network, reliable buses and trains, there is always an option for students looking to get from point A to point B, working in Melbourne as an international student. Last but not least, and what you're probably here for, let's touch on the topic of working in Melbourne as an international student. Prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, student visa holders were only allowed to work in Australia for 40 hours per fortnight. However, to address workforce shortages, student visa work hours restrictions have been temporarily relaxed. Until June 30, 2023, all ongoing students as well as new student arrivals and secondary applicants are able to work more than 40 hours a fortnight in any sector of the economy and work before their course of study commences. However, students are expected to balance study and work commitments despite the flexibility in the number of hours you can work. Students are still required to maintain their course enrollment, ensure satisfactory course attendance, and ensure satisfactory course progress. Ideal jobs for students. As a student, you are not restricted by specific categories for paid work. You're free to take up any job you'd like, provided that it meets the conditions of your visa. However, the flexible hours and large number of opportunities in certain industries make for ideal student jobs, including retail, supermarkets, department stores, boutiques, hospitality, cafes, bars, restaurants, food delivery, farming and fruit picking, seasonal work, services, childcare, aged care and cleaning, administration and clerical work, tutoring. Is it illegal to accept a cash-paying job? Lastly, it is important to fully understand the legalities surrounding how you are paid when working as a student in Australia. Contrary to popular belief, accepting cash compensation for a job is not illegal, as long as employers carry out their responsibilities. Cash in hand is legal in instances where you receive a payslip to prove their earnings and the amount of tax taken out, and you are provided with a payment summary at the end of the year detailing your earnings for the year and the amount of tax deducted. And there you have it, everything you need to know about living and working in Melbourne as an international student. Thanks for watching. Like, share, comment.